Welcome back to Walk the Walk. Today, we're off to Colombia. Not the Colombia you've seen on Netflix, but the real one. Think salsa in the streets, coffee straight from the mountains, and yes, the occasional bus ride that feels like a theme park. If you've ever thought about packing up and leaving the grey drizzle of the UK behind, this might just tempt you. Drop a comment below. Tell me where you're watching from and what's stopping you from taking the leap. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Let's get into it. Colombia. The word alone makes most Brits twitch. You say it back home and someone instantly mutters, Pablo Escobar, like he's still running the corner shop. Truth is, if your only knowledge of this country comes from narcos, you're almost 30 years out of date. Colombia today is a completely different story. It's messy, colourful, noisy, chaotic, and at times completely baffling. But my goodness, it's so alive. Let's start with the people. Colombians are some of the friendliest people you'll ever meet, and they've got this habit of treating strangers like cousins they just haven't seen in a while. You'll be in a shop fumbling your Spanish, and the woman behind the counter will chat to you as if you've known each other for years. Same on buses, same in cafes. They don't do that British thing of keeping a polite but icy distance. No stiff upper lip here. They'll hug you, they'll ask you 10 questions about your life before you've even sat down. And if you stay long enough, someone's abuela, that's grandma, will insist you eat a plate of food the size of a dustbin lid. Speaking of food, let's be honest. Nobody moves to Colombia for the cuisine. It's hearty and filling, but it's not exactly Michelin star stuff. We're talking rice, beans, meat, repeat. That said, it's cheap as chips. You can sit down for a proper meal of the day, a soup, main course, juice, and pay about £3. Try doing that in London, where you can't even sniff a sandwich without spending a fiver. And coffee, well, this is the land of coffee. Not the burnt, bitter sludge you queue for at Pret, but proper coffee, grown on the hills you can see out the bus window. Once you've had a cup here, Costa feels like an insult. Now, let's get the obvious question out of the way. Is it safe? Honestly, yes, most of the time. The days of cartels running the streets are long gone, but it's still not Disneyland. You've got to be street smart. Don't wave your iPhone about on a bus. Don't wander hammered down a dark alley in Bogota at 3 a.m. Same rules you'd follow in half the big cities around the world. But here's the difference. Colombians actually look out for you. If you're doing something daft, someone will probably warn you before you get into trouble. That's not because they're nosy. That's because they genuinely don't want you to be mugged. Imagine that kind of public service on the Northern Line. Cost of living. Let's talk about that, because this is where the UK looks like a bad joke. In London, you're lucky to find a shoebox with mould for £1,200 a month. In Medellin, that gets you a modern apartment with a view of the mountains, swimming pool in the complex, and probably a security guard who'll salute you like you're the Prime Minister every time you walk in. Weekly shopping doesn't leave you gasping. Eating out doesn't require a payday loan. You can actually have a life here, not just survive. And that, more than anything, does wonders for your mental health. Then there's the lifestyle. Colombians don't just work, sleep, and complain about the weather. They live. Salsa music blasts from corner shops. Strangers dance in the street. Football is practically a religion, and family barbecues spill onto pavements. Even funerals here feel more alive than Saturday nights back home. There's a joy for the simple stuff that the UK lost somewhere between Brexit arguments and energy bills. Now, I'm not painting Colombia as some perfect paradise. It's got problems, big ones. Politics here is a circus. Bureaucracy is like being trapped in a hall of mirrors with stamps, signatures, and queues that would break the spirit of a saint. Public transport can be a nightmare. Bogota traffic will have you aged 10 years by the time you get across the city. And the power might cut out on you just when you're in the middle of a video call. But the thing is, these problems don't come wrapped in misery. People moan, sure, but then they shrug, turn the music up, and carry on. And here's the bit that really hits you, the freedom. Not freedom in the political sense, but day-to-day freedom. You're not crushed by rules and fines and CCTV cameras everywhere. If you want to sit in the square with a beer, you can. If you want to sell empanadas from your front door, go ahead. There's a looseness to life here that reminds you the world doesn't have to be run like a spreadsheet. I know a lot of Brits who came here planning to stay a few months and ended up never leaving. One guy I met had come for 6 months of Spanish lessons in Medellin. That was 5 years ago. Now he's married, runs a cafe, and laughs at the idea of going back to grey skies and overpriced pints. Another friend spent years grinding in London finance, burnt out, stressed out, and finally he snapped. He booked a one-way ticket to Cali, started teaching English, and now spends his evenings dancing salsa until sunrise. He told me once, even my worst day here feels lighter than my best day back in London. Hard to argue with that. What's it done for me personally? It's like stepping out of a fog. Back in the UK, every headline, every bill, every conversation seemed heavy. Here, it feels like there's space to breathe, space to just live. You're not constantly pushed down by the grind. Sure, there are risks, political shifts, occasional protests, a bit of chaos here and there, but that chaos comes with colour, not greyness. And that for me makes all the difference. Would I recommend Colombia to everyone? Maybe not. If you need everything neat and predictable, if you can't live without Tesco meal deals, or if the idea of loud music at all hours makes you twitch, then maybe stick to Scandinavia. But if you're craving life, real, messy, vibrant life, then Colombia will wake you up in ways you didn't know you needed. And here's the kicker, it will probably save you money while it's at it. Imagine that, happiness that costs less, not more. Compare that to Britain, where joy has a price tag, and even heating your home feels like a luxury. So, is Colombia perfect? No, but is it worth trading the grey drizzle and permanent frown of the UK for something warmer, brighter, and more human? For me, absolutely. Just don't expect to come for a week and go home unchanged. This place gets under your skin, and once it does, you'll never look at Britain the same way again.